Welcome to the Marthoma Effect, a Syro podcast that explores different areas of Catholic life and the Syro-Malabar Church by the faithful of the Eparchy of Melbourne. And I am your host for today, Charles, and with me today is Joel and Hilda. And welcome to the Marthoma Effect.
Thank you.
Today, we're going to talk to these two wonderful people about their experience with mission. But before we go there, let's get started with your faith lives. With you guys, you've been involved in SMYM for years, and you have graduated high school, and I assume you'd spend most of that time getting involved in church and whatnot. But where was the point in your life, as adults at least, that you experienced Christ and which led you to live in a relationship with Christ and with the church? Kalechi?
I guess it's not one particular moment. My upbringing has definitely to do with that. My parents have kept me close to the church, that even, like you said, after catechism, I had that desire to come back to the church and give back to what they provided me for. I guess, but I can't pinpoint down to one moment. I would say every kurbana that you go to, every adoration that you go to, every single thing that you gather as a group to do something for him, it's all little moments. It's all on how we see and what we take out of it. But I guess when I did get started with ministry, when I got started with SMY, it was the adoration that we had in Melbourne for the youth leaders that kind of helped me realize, I was on the right path and I have the help that I need to keep going right beside me.
And Joel?
I guess relationship with Christ. So my family is a devout family and we are very active in the parish, and that's helped me be very close to the parish. But I guess it was a superficial closeness to a level till a couple of years ago for me, because for many years you just do it because your family does it, and you just go to church, you just go to Kurbana because your family tells you to do it, and sometimes even though when we don't want to, we kind of get forced into it. But then personally, I guess things changed when I started seeing Christianity as a relationship with Christ and not just a religion, and how our faith has everything to do with us, how it's intertwined with our purpose in life. And that's how it is at the moment.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, right? To go into something like mission in a foreign place, you need to take that relationship with Christ from a superficial level, which I assume you guys, from what you guys said before, and how that grew and developed into a closeness where you're willing to take on those risks and go after what he wants you to do. Right? And this is the other thing, right? You guys, you're all finished with your studies and you're moving on into different stages of life. You guys do different work, and how does Christ come into your lives when you're working or you're at home or whatever you do?
It doesn't really, like at work, I can't really do much in terms of, not taking care of anyone, so it's a bit hard, but I guess it's more so with the relationship that I keep up with him, which was easier, I guess, before I got into work, because I had a bit more time on my own, or at least, I had the time that I could use on anything, whether it be going to mass, even though I really was struggling or not struggling, I just was a bit hesitant to go because I didn't want to be going to mass every day, even though my mum would go, so I had to go and tag along with her basically. But since starting work, I realized that importance, because every week, at least at the beginning, I would come home very dry. So then I started going to Kurbana every Friday, and I could really see that difference. Even though I was like dead by the end of it, it really helped me kind of get some energy back. So even though I wanted to go every day, it wasn't working. But with the help of Achanmar and some good guidance, I guess I have been doing it for 7 months now, and I can really see the difference. It is still a struggle because I'm not someone who likes to wake up early. I'm not someone who, I would like to get some time to myself, but that rarely happens because of, trying after or going after different things. But in saying all of this, going to Kurbana, making sacraments a part of your life has really, really helped me to kind of keep up that relationship with Isho.
For the audience listening, I think Hilda forgot to mention that she works as an auditor.
Okay. Because an auditor.
So she works as an auditor, and I work at the hospital as a AIN, which is an assistant nurse. So in my area of work, I get to work with a lot of patients in the hospital, a lot of sick people, physically sick, mentally sick. So I get a lot of opportunity to help them out and share the love of Christ with them. I have to maybe help them with their daily life living circumstances. Sometimes I have to help them with showers and everything, feeding them, I guess, clothing them, and sometimes it's very difficult. And for a couple of years, I thought I was fine and I could do everything by myself. But then it got to a point where it was so draining. I have to deal with people dying in my workplace. I had to deal with people. Very sick people, especially older people with dementia and everything. It's very hard to deal with them, and then I realized I can't do this by myself, and I need to have Christ in my life and in my work, so that I'm able to provide them with all the care I can, and going to Kurbana every day, receiving confession weekly, and staying close to Jesus and reading the Word of God. All these things have really helped me in my workplace become more patient, become more loving, become more caring. And that's how God's been reflected in my...
And the big takeaway from me listening to you guys is sacraments meant it seems like sacraments are the source that keeps you going, that keeps you, be a good Catholic, a good Christian. It feeds you with, that the food for your soul.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so great to hear, and that's inspirational for especially the youth, right, who are coming up and picking up leadership roles, and who are thinking about mission. Obviously, sacraments seems like that needs to be a big part to get into, the big head-on things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's time to move on to the topic, India Mission. So first of all, Joel, do you want to tell us where you went and who you went with?
So India Mission, so it was our Eparchy's first international mission trip, and where we went to was Odisha. It is in northeast India, and we went for nearly 2 weeks. And in the mission team, it was myself, Hilda, Sojan Sebastian, Jasmine Jacob, and Tonya Kurishingal. So we were a team of 5, and we're from Perth, and our parish priest also joined us for a few days to be part of the mission, as he was on holiday, so he just thought he'll join us, which is
that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Mission.
Mhm.
Go on holiday and just join in between.
Yep, and like Hilda said, our Achan's name is Father Anish. But so we went to Odisha, and these were the people we went with.
Oh, cool. And other thing, Northeast India. Now, I know that's not a Christian place, right? With my knowledge of geography and demographics of India, that is the place where Christians aren't the safest. That's a place where we hear about, churches being burnt and people being killed, riots and things like that against Christianity and Christians. And you guys going there, I'm assuming... Actually, the question is, did you guys have fear? Were you guys sort of afraid?
There was a little bit of fear.
A little bit of fear.
But we tried to not focus there.
Okay.
That wasn't our point. Mission was our point.
Okay.
But there was. But we also knew why we were going there. We went. Our purpose for being sent wasn't for us to come back being scared. We were supposed to go there. We had a plan that there was a plan for us to go there, and everything was just coming out perfectly, if not better than we had hoped for. So whatever struggles, whatever hurdles that that word to come our way, I'm sure God would have provided, and His providence was very much evident in our trip. All of us can attest to that, whether it be whether it be personally or whether it be as a group. Everything was being taken care of. So even with that fear, you know, something that Sonjana kept telling us, or, you know, the Achanmar there as a joke was, you know, worst thing that could happen, well, for us at least, is death. But the best thing that could happen is martyrdom. You know, we could be saints. So, you know, there could be a Saint Joy, there could be a Saint Hilda, there could be...
From our eparchy, from Perth.
He kept saying that as a joke, but, you know, a little bit of fear was there still.
Yeah.
But we, try to not focus on it because that would drag you down.
Yeah.
So, you know, Chatton
For
always
sure.
kept us on, you know, looking at the bigger picture, why we were going there.
Yeah. And that's why growing as a group helps, right? Because when one person is down, the other person picks you up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly why Jesus sent his disciples in groups of two. Yeah. And Joe, what was like your key highlight at mission in Odisha?
Highlight, I guess the most eye-opening thing for me was to witness the level of persecution. It was like we were in biblical times, man. In recent history, there was a genocide which happened there. A lot of Christians died for Jesus there, and we went to visit a lot of the places where the martyrdoms happened, and we talked to a few people who've lost their loved ones, and just being there and walking through the places. You know, we saw like a lot of burnt buildings, and like just going through there. You know, it really opened my eyes as to what it's like living in a persecuted time, and how much better off we are in Australia. I mean, we do have our own struggles, but we don't get threatened with our life because we worship God. But it's not like that in Odisha. It's very hard to live there as a Christian, but the zeal, the priests and the nuns and the parishioners there show it's just awesome, man, and it's very inspiring.
And Odisha being new to the faith, right? The people being new to the faith, I would assume most of them are recent converts to the Syro-Malabar faith, and you guys who have been born and brought up in the faith in the church, even though we're a young eparchy, but most of us are born into it, grew up in the church, and you going there and seeing a church that is new, a church that is recent, and one that is in a completely different environment. How did that affect the way you saw our faith, the Syro-Malabar faith?
I guess we got to really see how it starts, whereas here we look at it as something that we maintain, right? Not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just in our context, we don't have to develop something. Whereas they're building it from scratch. Like you said, they're not born into our faith. They've heard from the priests. They've had experiences. They've had encounters. Hence why they came into the Syro-Malabar faith. So even though they're very new, they're still at the infancy stage. I guess sometimes they really surprised us just to see how devoted they were. They were, even though they had nothing to offer, whether to us or to God, but they still kind of kept holding on to God. Whereas for us, we're like praying, or or something like that. They weren't asking for anything. They were just happy just to be with them. Whereas I think oftentimes here, or at least we kind of maintain that relationship to get something out of it. Whereas we could tell that they weren't doing that for that. That wasn't their purpose. They were just purely spending time with Jesus like you would spend time with a friend. So that kind of relationship, that's what they have. And, I hope we probably should strive to do that as well, because not everybody does it, at least I could tell. So that is a big difference. Joey?
Yeah, and we were able to celebrate a Syro-Malabar Qurbana there as well in Odia.
Oh, wow.
So that really opened up, once again, all of our eyes, because it was our first time, joining a Holy Qurbana of the Syro-Malabar rite in another language, because we always celebrated in Malayalam, and then recently we've been doing it in English as well. But then when we celebrated in Odia, it kind of opened eyes as to, you know, this is not just supposed to be like a culturally bound, like a
Malayali thing.
yeah. More of a, you know, we should be going out around the whole world, you know, sharing.
We should be reaching out. We should be reaching out like they are reaching out, because they're not Malayalis.
Yeah.
They weren't Catholics before, and then it was because the missionaries there, the priests, the sisters that reached out. Like we should be reaching out here as well. So we got to take that step really, really seriously, I guess. Because if we strive in the same level as they do, we could be reaching out to so many people. We could be bringing so many people to our church. And I guess adding on to what Joel said, I didn't know there were Syro-Malabar communities there. I thought we were going to visit, you know, Latin or something else. They were just like a church.
So when you went there, you didn't realize it was Syro-Malabar.
No.
So like you would have seen like our sleeper, right? Marthoma sleeper there, and you'd be like, oh.
And the first thing that we did was go to a church.
Yeah.
It's like a Syro-Malabar church. I mean, small church, but it still had everything that we did. And we were like, what? It's a Syro-Malabar church. And it's not just one that we went to, you know. If not all the churches that we went to, there were Syro-Malabar churches. So I was very surprised on the first day when I found that out. Wasn't expecting that.
And look at this, right? Our eparchy, right, is quite new, right? And this, our big eparchy, it's massive, right? And we've started to have our own churches being built, and we have one here in Perth.
Yeah.
Praise God for that. And we have one in Adelaide, and we have one in Brisbane, and you know there's new ones that are coming up. And we look at that community there, and you guys visiting Syro-Malabar churches there. It's the work of God, right? Two different upbringings of eparchies, of places of the same faith. And we are seeing similarities, and you know that is a reflection of our faith, our community, and our Syro-Malabar church.
Yeah.
It definitely strengthened my purpose in what I'm supposed to be doing here. Right, like Hilda said, rather than maybe maintaining what we have, how we or me personally, I should be going out and, you know, helping on the evangelization side of things.
Yeah, definitely brought that, I guess, that need to reach out into me, rather than, because I'm not someone who would go out and talk a lot to others. I'd rather keep everything to myself. So, but seeing all that they were doing there, and then the fruits of it as well, because, you know, they didn't just start now. I guess we got to see the fruits of what they were doing 5-6 years ago, because we could see the community slowly forming, we could see the churches coming together, we could see people coming to Kurbanas and everything. So I guess if we do what we need to be doing, what we should be doing as well, we could be bringing others to church, we could be helping them to have that experience, or even encounter that they come to Jesus, basically. Yeah.
And is that the message that you have for the people of our eparchy, especially the youth, right? Because, you know, for our parents at least, as you said, our church is in a phase of maintaining, you know, taking what they had in Kerala and bringing it here, and maintaining that so they can pass it on to us. And now for us, at least, as a newer generation that have a foundation here, is that the message that you have to look at them and look at their zeal and look at what they're doing and kind of reflect something similar here amongst our communities, the wider communities, and, you know, take that on board?
Yeah, definitely. So if we do that, I guess, you know, in 10 years or so, we could have different people from different backgrounds sitting in our churches, not just Indians.
Yeah.
Could be like, you know, any other nationality. So if we take the work or that call seriously, to doesn't have to be, you know, you go in and, you know, just intimidate someone. It's, I guess, that friendship, that fellowship, and then it's sharing your experiences. I guess that's the main one, because through your experiences, I guess they are able to see how God's worked. So, and maybe they might pick up little things that happened to them, but they never really kind of understood why, or they never really thought too far into it. Whereas if we kind of spread a little insight of what happened to us when, you know, certain things happen, and they'll be like, oh, that's also happened to me. Or they could pick up little similarities, and then they might actually come and ask you, and then you kind of help them along.
Yeah.
And they might give some insight to you as well that you didn't know. So I guess you help each other out in this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I saw a couple of photos of you guys on mission. One was Joel doing some farming. So we have a farmer from our eparchy. Please, I don't know what you were doing, but I know you had doing some farming was the only idea I got out of it. Were you helping the people out, or?
It wasn't farming, and I don't know the name of the weapon I had in my hand.
It was a weapon.
It was a farming equipment. In the photo, what we were doing is we went to visit a village, and they were in the middle of some work. They're clearing a way for the water to go through, so the water can get through the rice fields. So I was there, and one of the ladies over there, she just handed me this farming.
So she just gave it to you.
She
just gave it to you. She's like, get to work.
Sure, she saw my big muscles.
She looked at all of us and she's like, no, be
and yeah, I just got it, and I'm like, okay, I'm here, I'll help out.
Yeah.
And then I just helped in whatever way I could, and that showed me another part of the mission. We're not there necessarily just to go speak and talk, but more so experience their culture, how they live, eat with them. And one day we got to sleep in one of the villages as well, and that was a really awesome experience. So mission's not just us going there, talking, but more so us sharing our love of Christ and us also changing. And people may have heard this before, but mission really changes us as well. So we're not really going for fully their change, or the places change of where we are going to, but our own change as well.
Yeah. And what are some of the changes that you've felt that has happened in your life after you came back from mission?
It was a bit weird after I came back from the mission. I was very sad.
Really?
Because it was an awesome experience, man. The 2 weeks, I was there, I was preaching the word of God. I was also with, 4-5 other people who really love Jesus as well. So to be in that grace, to be, we were doing adorations for many hours a day, sacraments every day, and it was such a blessing to be in that group. So I really missed that when I came back, because now I'm back to my whole life, back to
reality.
back to reality.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, but yeah. And I was really in a reflective mood after I came back as to how can I change? What can I do to change? And what I realized was, I didn't need to do anything extra to show that change, but my outlook on how I saw things changed. It was more of a biblical outlook and more of an outlook in humility, because I was reflective on how I used to be before I went to the mission. And when I came back, it wasn't me really saying too much or talking about the change, but maybe my family and other people who saw a little bit of change and, Joel, why are you like this now? sort of thing. But yeah, more of the outlook on life and just the way how I saw things. I was way more thankful for the church we had and the priests we had and the parish community we had here in Perth and in Australia, and how we don't have that many struggles compared to somewhere like Odisha.
I guess similar to what Joel said, I'm someone who tries not to take anything for granted. Even then, it's still like it happens, right? But after going there, and then we realized what they didn't have, yet they were still so happy and like genuinely happy, not just like faking it. I realized I could work on that. So I think coming back, I've started to be more thankful for everything that I have and everything that I don't have. So even whatever doesn't happen, it's okay. It's all for a greater purpose. And similar to, again, what Joel said, it's not certain things that I've picked up, but it's others who've told me that you do this differently now, or, it's not, like, I can't pinpoint it down, but I've had people come and tell me, oh, you don't usually do that, or you should stop doing that. But in terms of the main difference, I guess I've become less picky with food.
With food.
With food.
Okay, I have a big question. what did you
I
guys?
wonder what it is.
What did you guys? I'm assuming you ate the local food, but what was the local food? Was it?
So like I said before, regarding the rice fields, they eat rice mostly
Yeah.
for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner.
And dinner.
And dinner. So we had a lot of rice, but that was only mainly because we were at the
camp.
The camp.
Okay.
But it's very difficult daily life for them because sometimes people in the villages, some people don't have food, some people don't have money.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes they only have one meal a day. But by the grace of God, when we went, we were able to share meals with them.
We got fed.
And
Really?
And fed. And fed.
What did you guys eat? It was just
it
rice.
was rice and like a
rice.
yellowish curry. Is
They have a curry to go along with it.
like
Okay.
lentil
Yeah.
curry. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
But that's again because of the camp that was happening. The priests who were running it, they wanted to like provide for the kids because it's not every day they get to have good meals.
Good
So
meals,
they
yeah.
made sure the whole time they were, fed really well. So that's why we got fed all
So
of them. But
they got
even
fed
then,
and you
we
guys
got
got
fed. But even when we went to the villages, they gave us whatever they had. Like it was probably like the last thing that they had, which made us feel bad because they were giving us the very last things that they had left over. And they just gave it over to us. So the one time we were staying over in one of the villages, the next day we went around the village and just visited everyone. And then even though it was like early in the morning, they brought us so much food to eat that we were just so full.
Really?
And we couldn't hesitate because then it would be rude. So they just kept coming, even though it was probably again the last plate of something that they had. They weren't like shy, or they weren't hesitant to give us. They weren't like, we don't have anything left, so let's not give them. No, they were like, this is the only thing that we have, but let's still give them.
Yeah.
So that mentality as well.
And you can imagine how much coming into Christian faith has influenced the way how they look at things like that. And you guys going there and sharing the gospel, sharing the love of Christ with them who don't really have other people to experience it from. And it must be from their gratitude, right?
Yeah.
That they're willing to give. And, looking at those communities, they're probably willing to give their life for the faith. And, considering that, a little bit of rice is not much, eh? Yeah. And the other photo that I saw, going back to the photos that I saw, was Hilda with a bunch of kids. So I know you guys ran a little camp sort of thing for the kids from different tribal villages.
Yeah.
So do you want to share your experience with that and how was it teaching the kids, playing with the kids?
It was everything.
Everything?
Basically just I guess all of us became very good friends with them. Even though at the beginning we were like, how are we going to go with them because we can't talk in Odia. So we had a translator who were translating the sessions that we did. Anything that we did, he was translating it for us. But even then we were like, are we going to get that connection with them? That's the one thing that we were kind of like, hoping everything would go well. But day one onwards, I guess, with the things that we did. So even the kids that came to our camp, they didn't know each other.
Okay.
So they were all coming from different villages, like kilometers away. So it was most of their first time meeting each other. So it's kind of like us forming SMI or something, 10 years ago, and everyone's coming together for the first time. That's kind of what was happening. And then we kind of just had our activities going, and then we kind of made sure, that group was building that connection, and we could see that happening with us because they kind of started coming and talking to us, even though with the language barrier happening, he could speak in Hindi for a bit. Sonyadan could speak, but the rest of us were struggling. But it was like little actions that we did, even that towards the end of it, even though we were still saying it in English, that the kids were able to understand it. They were able to not fully, maybe not fully, but kind of get the gist of it, that they were nodding, they were responding to us even before the translator Chatan was finished with his translating. So I guess the photos that you saw were probably from one of the action songs or one of the activities that we were doing. But definitely a wholesome bunch of kids there. That was very sad leaving them behind. It was very emotional, but everyone was crying. Didn't think it would get that bad, but everyone was crying at the end of the adoration.
You guys or the kids? Or everyone?
Everyone.
More so Hilda. Hilda was giving the kids over there.
He was crying, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was trying to avoid it, cries and kind of just went missing.
Yeah, he was definitely crying. And when you guys came back, you came back and, you know, how did looking back at those moments, right, and being here, like, was it a bit depressing when you think about it, and you're like, oh, you did all of that there and you had fun and then you're back to your lives, or, you know, was it more that you're happy but still you're kind of drained because a lot must have been going on, right? No?
I mean, yes.
Yes.
But no.
Yes.
I wasn't drained. I was very happy. I mean, if you, like, we weren't getting too many hours of sleep, but, you know, we were still giving it 100%.
Yeah.
We were all still happy. We were all going at it. That when we came back, I think the only reason we were sad was because it's finished. It's not because, oh, you know, it wasn't like, oh, thank God it's finished. It's like, oh, no, it's finished.
It's finished.
I think that was like one thing that we were saying when we were coming back, you know. Damn, we were talking about it for so long, but it went by so quick. And when we look back on the photos, even now, we're like kind of reliving those moments. We still haven't kind of detached, I guess.
But I guess from where I see it, the mission wasn't the main intent, because we went on mission and it's about what we got out of it, and that's, you know, God giving us something, and it's God using us to do something here, or preparing us to do something here, you know, or for the people here in Australia, and you know, sharing those skills and experiences.
Yeah, because like I got told by a couple of people that, you know, when I told them that I'm going on this mission, they're like, oh, you're gonna so love it, you're gonna come back as a changed person. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, right, as if that's gonna happen. What change is gonna happen in me? But coming back, I can really see the difference. And like he mentioned earlier, you know, it's not like the people that you go there and something changes in them. No, it's you that changes. Doesn't have to be such a big change. I think it's in you, you know what's changed, and you know that difference it's happening in your life, and you're trying to kind of live out every day. So I guess that statement really stands for all of us, that when that mission really changes you, doesn't not necessarily, I mean, it probably has changed the people, you know, something might have changed, but it definitely has changed the 6 of us that went, for sure.
Was it definitely, you know, a humbling experience for me, because I was sick throughout the whole mission. And
why? Don't say that he's sick and Hilda has a smile on her face. That tells me
and
there's a story to tell.
There's a story.
No, it's not much of a story, but before I went, I was very prideful and arrogant, because, you know, I was like, I'm the strongest out of the whole group. If you get attacked or something, you know, I can defend everyone. Or you know, I work at the hospital as a nurse, assistant nurse, and like anything medical, I have somewhat of a knowledge to help people.
He was telling us what to eat, what not to eat, going there for the first day, but like, it's not gonna happen.
But you know, I ended up being sick the whole mission, and after I came back, because I didn't look after myself, I had a bacterial infection, then, you know, I had antibiotics and everything. So it was a tough, I guess, 1 month or so. And I guess very humbling. You know, sometimes we think we can do certain things, but, you know, God lets us know that, you know, we have to be reliant on Him and not be reliant on us or what we know. And I guess, you know, it's reflecting on what we are called to do. You know, just because we know something about just because we know a few things doesn't mean that, you know, we can do it by ourselves. We always need God in everything that we do, especially in ministry. You know, us going to mission wasn't because we really wanted to go, it was because we were called to go. And I'm sure many people who are watching this will go to mission in the future. And, you know, it's definitely more of relying on God and less reliant on us.
Yep. Both him and Tony did get sick during the time, but, you know, they were still, I guess they didn't give in to their sickness. They weren't letting that sickness stop them from doing what they could have been doing at that time. So, you know, they were taking care of themselves. If not, we were telling them off, but you know, they were still there, even when they weren't feeling their best. So praise God that for their presence, for their
when you go there, no turning back, right? That's the thing, right? You gotta give it everything, and I'm so glad that you guys were able to give it you're everything. And yeah, now that you're back, what are some things that you're going to do or you are doing right now for the people around you, for our eparchy, and taking on board your mission experiences and putting them into your local parish, your local, your households, your workplaces?
One thing I've been trying to do is, like, before I share about anything, one thing I've been telling anyone that approaches me or about how mission was is, like, you need to go on mission. That's kind of the first thing I've been telling them, because I guess I don't know how many times it would have taken for someone to tell me or convince me to go, if it wasn't for the way that it worked out this time. But I just want to, hopefully make that difference, or, be that person that kind of tells you to, have a go, at least think about it, because that's what happened with me. It wasn't that I wanted to go, like, no, mission wasn't, but little things that I started saying yes to, God kind of put it all together. So if it's me having to tell you to go on a mission, I don't care, I'm still going to come up to you. I'm going to do that. But that's definitely one thing that I've been telling people, just because I know how heartwarming it is and how much of a difference it makes in your personal life, that I hope everybody gets to go on it. And it doesn't have to be like, going on a different country. It could be saying yes to things that you might be like questioning, or, is it really for me?
Yeah. Like you said, it's the small yeses, right?
It's the small yeses. So it could be like, maybe helping at Pali for something. It could be that little yes that kind of leads on to something so much bigger later on that you don't even know.
Yeah.
And mission, doesn't have to be like, international travel. Obviously it's fun and you get to experience a bit more things, but mission can be done locally, wherever your parishes are. Just going out a bit further, maybe you can do something by yourself. We've all got our own callings in life, and mission just kind of strengthens that calling. It's kind of like a path to where God calls us to be. So, someone's mission can be trying to fix things at home, having a better relationship with their parents, and, starting everything at home. Or someone's mission can be being more active at the parish. So it doesn't have to be international travel, I think. But if you do get an opportunity to go, possibly Indian missions in the future, or any other missions, it can be local missions just in Australia, maybe from Perth to Melbourne, wherever it is. If you get an opportunity, say yes. Definitely say yes.
Yes, I will definitely say yes.
Are you will you be going on mission?
Yes. After hearing your story, I have to experience it for myself, and hopefully things will turn out in just as good for me and for everyone else that wants to go on mission to India or to other countries or to wherever they are. Pick up mission and do that, and of course, like these guys, we who will pick up mission for the first time can see good fruit too. And we'll finish off our podcast today. Thank you very much for sharing your great experiences with India Mission and your faith lives and everything that you're doing. And I want to wish you guys both best of luck for your future missions here in Perth or wherever you will be doing whatever, glorifying God, and as they're wearing the Sliha the Mashiach shirt, being the apostles of Christ and spreading his message. And with that being said, this is the Marthoma Effect. I'm Charles, this is Joel and Hilda. Thank you for tuning in.